Hey everybody, it's Brett, and I'm in kind of a weird space where I really feel as though I'm moving into a new space, for lack of a better word. And I don't really feel like watching any videos. I definitely don't feel like absorbing any energy from anything extreme. I just wanted to tell you where I'm at. Perhaps you could give some feedback in the chat box or in the comments down below. I'm heating up some water for tea. I was gone all day today to pick up a new squatting platform so that I can make some videos. It's one of the many things that's really important for people to start doing. It's kind of one of the keys to be able to clean out your digestive system. And so it's so important that I feel very inclined to get selling more and more of them at a really good price. I've got them for like $130, I think now. So I also picked up 10 FootFriend massage tools with new inserts, and they're really cool. And I've got a lot of work to do tomorrow to get them prepped up for sale. But on the way home, I stopped in Asheville. I went to the farmer's market. I just mingled a little bit and just needed to get out of the apartment here and out of this town. You know, this small town I live in is good for some things, but not for me socially. And so I've got to find some other things to do, and exactly what that entails, I can't be sure of at this point. It's hard for me to get satisfaction with gatherings of people. So I just went out today and kind of made my own fun. Hi, Michael. And I'm finding that I would rather just go up to random people and tell them random things that'll blow their minds than to do the typical things that I'm just tired of doing. It's like a lot more interesting for me to go up and just blow people's minds with where I've been and what I've done and what I believe in, etc. It's just a lot more interesting to me, and I think that I get a lot more accomplished by making people really think. And even though I'm only doing that with 1 or 2 people at a time, or maybe 3 or 4 people at a time, I think that I'm just practicing for bigger things. I'm just warming up, if you will. because I've been preparing for something to do something big, if you will, for a long time. But I don't want it to be big in my mind because I'm getting away from that. I don't want to create a big wave. It's hard to explain. Let me just ponder on that for a second. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Wisconsin, the vibe there. If it wasn't so cold, the people farther north are generally a lot more progressed, a lot more advanced. But man, the cold weather, not into it. I'm finding more that I can just be and that I like it quiet. I turn off the fans. I turn them on when I want to move the air around, but then I turn them off so that there's no noise. And I've come to accept that this town is just a town. The people are good people. They're just not ever going to be very progressed in the ways, at least, that I wish they were. But that's all right. I have to just kind of be okay with that. And I'm gonna have to just go out and mingle and get my people thing, my fill of people in some way or another, but not in a way that's too irritable, too aggravating. Yeah. And I'm believing in magic a lot more. Not per se in the way that other people have believed in magic in the past, but in the way that I know as that I'm being guided. For instance, I woke up with an idea. Somehow they placed the idea in my mind. Or perhaps I don't know. All I can tell you is that I woke up with an idea and I needed to buy something at 6 a.m. I turned the computer on and I went to Amazon and I bought it for $51. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I want to do is accomplish as much with my time as I can, but I don't want to stress about it. See, everything is balance. And so I need to teach people some things. I want to inspire people, but I don't want to get in trouble with people. I can rub them the wrong way a little bit, but not too much. Enough to make them think. If I go too far with that, it gives me stress anyway, so I don't want to do that. But I have to do something, because if I don't do anything, then I also get stressed. I need to get creative. So I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but the astrology vibe for the last at least 5 days has been intense. The weekend, the new moon. And if you'd have seen the chart and knew anything about it, if you'd have been paying attention to listening to the sirens outside, I was talking to a customer and she had sirens outside. Mine also, a lot more sirens outside. I could have told you that was coming. I had seen the astrology charts for those days. So I lay low because I know when the energy of the planets is intense. It's a huge benefit knowing a little bit about astrology. But I could show you how to just go on astroseek.com, and I don't think you even have to start an account, but it's better to start an account and put your birth chart in there so they know where you live, so that you get an exact where the planets currently are. And you can just click on one button and see how many red lines and how many blue lines are on the screen. Red lines make things challenging. Blue lines make things easy. So if you just know that, you don't even really have to know. If you just know that, it's hugely helpful. And you see, if you see something intense like what's been on that screen for the last several days, you know that there's a lot. And then you hear sirens, ambulances outside. It puts a lot of strain on people. And the people that are to the edge will crack in different ways, especially when it has to do with the moon. So for me, I've just been trying to have a minimal polarity. So I decided to call this video in the center, because that's what I've been trying to do. If I go on YouTube and I watch anything that has too much, very much polarity, I can feel it starts to cause me stress. Because right now, there's a lot of stress in the air from the positions of the planets right now. So, other people, they don't know anything about astrology. They're probably, a lot of people are probably noticing the same thing. Some people, a lot of people aren't very sensitive to it, but some people are sensitive. I think that the more you eat whole foods, like apples, vegetables, etc., the more sensitive you are to a lot of things. And just like everything else, there are pros and cons. to being sensitive or to being dull, to be dull. It's not good to be dull and to be, you know, not able to tune in to things because you're just full of mucus and fat and mucoid plaque and chemicals, etc., and bacteria. You're just like you feel. Most people out there feel like the way they look, which is like the Pillsbury Doughboy. You know, how can you feel anything if you're just a big blubber thing? You know, you're just blubbery. So it forces you to be, you know, especially if you're a Cancer like me, it forces you to get new tools. So to be able to tune out, to be able to just not watch something that doesn't have much value, to be able to have good judgment with what you use your time with. Fruit. So, today I was driving and I said to myself, just drive slow because there are no accidents. And what I mean by that is, you know, a lot of people, if you get in a car wreck, people will call it a car accident. If you're driving so fast that you aren't able to slow down and or avoid a car wreck, it wasn't an accident. You were intentionally driving fast, and so that's what happened as the result of driving fast. A wreck. It was a car wreck, not an accident. You'd be better off calling it a car intentional, because you intentionally drove fast and so you got what you created. So I drove 50, I put it on cruise control and I was driving 52. I put it on 52 in a 55. And that's what felt safe. And there was these cars, 3 of them, right on my ass. And they didn't like it that I was driving 52. And I was like, well, okay, sorry, whatever. This is as fast as we're going to go. And you'll just have to wait until you get a dotted line and you can go around me. Within a few minutes, a big truck, diesel towing a trailer, pulled right out in front of me, pulled right going across the road. And I had to hit the brakes pretty hard. But I was really glad that I was only doing 52. Because if I'd been doing 60 or 65, that would not have been good. Not good. And so, if you can tell that I've been in this state of creating the opposite of what the world is in, then that really helped me to be in that state by thinking about going slower today. Just like I'm talking really slow. If somebody doesn't like that, they'll just and not listen to this. They want to listen to someone that's like on a sugar rush and talking really fast because that's what they need. That's the vibe they need. There's always going to be people that don't like it if I'm doing something that's not what they're doing. But I know that I'm doing what I need to do at least, and probably what most people need to do eventually. And so I need to just be, in addition to me doing what I'm doing, I need to be okay with what I'm doing, even though other people may not be. Even though I can see and I can feel that other people are like uncomfortable about what I'm doing or my vibe, the way my face looks, the way my voice sounds. See, people can look into your eyes, they can listen to your voice, they can hear the things that you say and what your ideas are. And they can be very intuitive about who you are and where you've been, what your sexuality is, what's your opinion about things. Far left liberals can tell that I'm not one of them really easy. Far right conservative type people and aggressive people, redheads, can tell that I'm not a good match for them. And I know that they know it's okay. I just let it go. Because everyone has all of these different thoughts and feelings, whatever it's going to take for them to progress in this world, to survive in this world, to get to the next world. Whatever is deeply ingrained within their journey, their mission. They may not even know that they're on some sort of a mission here, but they are. Everyone is. I feel that I've been getting a deeper insights as to what the world is, where people are in their evolution in this world. I feel as though even though I've progressed a lot, I've always been the same. I think about things that I think now And I think that a lot of those things were exactly the same 20, 30, 40, or even 50 or more years ago. I could give you examples like with music, how I always thought that Rush was an amazing band because they were like the stuff that Neil Peart wrote was, a lot of people would say geeky, but I never thought that. It was like science. It was like new age. It was like advanced thinking music. It was advanced thinking rock and roll, Rush. It was cosmic. While other bands were writing love song lyrics, Rush was writing stuff that us Star Trek lovers loved. I guarantee you that if you were to ask the average Rush fan if they like Star Trek, the original, or even the other series, I'll bet you that a huge percentage of them do. And that a lot of those people are thinkers, ponderers, wondering about things. Why are we here? What are we doing? Are there aliens out there? Are the aliens doing this or that in this world? Many things. Where will we go? You know, not just like typical Catholics. Most Rush fans are not Catholics. Yeah. So I told people deep thoughts today. I just walked up to people. It's so fun for me, entertaining for me to see the eyes of people, the eyes of a hostess, this cute, cute, cutie pie hostess showing her breasts with a low cut top and just the cutest eyes and beautiful skin. And if you're a business owner of a restaurant, that's what you want when somebody walks in for food, to greet people, right? If you're smart. And so I walk in, and there she is standing behind the podium. And I start telling her things. Things that make her start to think about life. Things that are deeper than just the average thoughts that are going through people's minds about their jobs or their families or something like that. And I start to get emotional. I can feel my eyes welling up because I'm just flowing. I'm not just intentionally trying to freak somebody out. I just I just wanted to make her think about some important things. Because people don't really talk about more important things very much. And I find it intriguing and interesting to do that. One of the things I was saying to people today is that I'm richer than Elon Musk. And then they would say something back to me, and I was like, no, you're supposed to say, well, Brett, why? Brett, why are you, specifically, why are you richer than Elon Musk? And then I tell them a bunch of things that are absolutely, without a doubt, higher priorities. I've had higher priorities than Elon has. Some people would say different priorities. But after I got specific about exactly why I'm richer than Elon Musk, a lot of people were in full agreement. And if you can really convince yourself, because if you've done what I've done, and if you know what I know, and you know that what I do with my time benefits me more than what he does and has been doing with his time, if you can really, really convince yourself of how valuable holistic healing is, I think that it's so important for giving you a sense of a lot of things that are really, really important. It's amazing. Just breathing, just doing breathing exercises. There are times, sometimes, when my body, it demands more oxygen right before I go through a healing crisis and or during one of those. And I just go with it. I just take in as much oxygen as I can. And that almost always brings on subsequently emotional healing. I learned that from doing breathwork classes a long time ago. I'm going to get some tea. Hang on. What if there was a famine, but you didn't need to eat because you had conditioned your body to be able to go without food for a long time? What if everyone went insane and so you wanted to be just by yourself and away from people, and you were able to do that because you had conditioned your mind, heart, and soul to be okay with just quietness and natural things. In fact, you almost preferred that, or you preferred that over being around a lot of people. What if you came to an understanding about where humans are in their evolution and what the imbalances are? And you came to an understanding about how you could be to be able to coexist amongst those people. How would you be in this world? Write it in the chat box so that I can see. One of the things that I was enjoying saying to people today that was rather fun to say was that I was neutralizing the insanity of the world. I was using my mind to neutralize the insanity of the world, or that I was neutralizing the chaos of the world in my mind. And I was just wearing these old shorts and a t-shirt. And I find it fun because like some people think that you're just some nutcase that's probably homeless, right? But I like to analyze people to see if they're intuitive enough to know that I'm beyond that, even though I sound kind of crazy. Or there's a lot of different ways to think about somebody that just walks up to you and says something like that. Is it possible? Even if it's not possible, is it a good exercise for you to try to do that? Neutralize the insanity of people in this world. If you try to do that, if you think about the insanity, and then you create a state of mind that's the opposite of the insanity in your mind, is that a good exercise for your mind? So if you were to do that every day, if you were to spend a minute or 5 minutes or longer every day trying to neutralize the insanity of the world. First, taking just a few seconds. You might not even have to take a few seconds because you already have the insanity of the world ingrained within you from having experienced it for a long time on many different levels. And then you just go into this state of neutralization. And then, as I was telling one woman in an art store, fancy art store, that you could visualize things that neutralize things, like baking soda neutralizes acid, or mucousy foods like soy or dairy. They create a buffer, an acid alkaline buffer in between foods. You could visualize things like a person that's a good negotiator. Like he goes to negotiate between Israel and Hamas. So he acts as a buffer in the middle. I've never seen a UFO. And so you could think about, you could feel things that are neutralizers. And then you could visualize, you could imagine, you could use your imagination like shamans do to neutralize all of the energies of the extreme energies of the world. And this woman is listening to me, right? I'm just going off like, these are things that I really think about that I never tell people, that I was just telling people one at a time today to see if they reacted positively to it or if they checked out. Some people be like, okay, they go back to their work and they're not looking at me at all. They're looking down at their work and they're like, okay, yeah. And they're trying to get me to realize that they're not interested in hearing anymore. I find all of that somewhat beneficial too. I'm just interacting with people to hone in on my abilities to feel people and see what they'll do when I say this or that. And then I said to her, and so if I want to amplify the neutralization, I can just tune into all of the other planets in the universe and ask them for an increase of power. It's kind of like Scotty. More power to the shields, right? So I'm neutralizing the Earth's negativity energies, and I'm getting more power to be able to do that by channeling it from the heavens. And I'm able to do that by visualizing other planets out there and advanced beings that are far beyond us. And I'm able to do that by thinking about how humans here have evolved a long way in my lifetime. And for the last, several hundred years or thousands of years, people have come a long way, sort of. They're really screwy in a lot of ways. The advances are causing a lot of problems, but they're good and bad. We have to just keep taking what we like and leave the rest. But if we think about how far we've come, and that there may be similar beings like humans on other planets there probably are, in a similar sort of dimension. But those people could be a lot more advanced than us. In fact, those people could be our overseers. They could be people that could send some sort of energy, some sort of healing energy directly to me to enable me to be able to neutralize chaotic energy. The power of visualization. I find that these kinds of activities and talking about these kinds of activities are a lot more interesting to me, especially when you add on the interaction with someone else, like I'm doing with you right now. It's a lot more interesting than if I were watching the news right now. I already know what's on the news. I've been watching the news for my whole life. Mhm. Yeah. The elements, we've just barely begun to realize what can be done with all the different elements and combinations of elements. Natural things are amazing. Amazing. And the more people doodad with the natural things, the more they'll learn the benefits. There are so many things that people have learned, but they're not telling other people about. They're waiting for the right time for the world to learn, to know. But if they feel that the world isn't ready, they don't reveal the things. And so there are already so many things that are known out there that aren't told. It's secrets, and it's very Scorpio energy. Scorpio and the 8th house of sex and death in astrology. You know how there's certain things that you just don't talk about, like sex and death? Mm, mm. Smells so good. Mm, Hmm. So there are all kinds of things that people sort of know about, but they don't really talk about, or they don't really think about, or whatever, because they're not ready for whatever reason. And if people aren't ready for this or that, then you just have to accept it. We're evolving in so many different ways. I can tell you that it's totally okay. It's totally acceptable, if you want it to be single and alone. Especially now with the internet. Because you can spend a lot of alone time focusing on things like breathing or self massage, stretching, sound things like Om. So many different holistic health modalities that you can do by yourself. It's okay as well to be with someone else as long as you're okay with it. Everyone's totally different, and so you have to know yourself. There are so many people out there that have these preconceived notions about how they should be, and then they try to be those ways and they don't feel right. They don't feel good. Sometimes when I think about how different I am than my parents, even though it's obvious that they are my parents, I wasn't adopted. I'm definitely a Lee and Mary Lou born child. There are so many fundamental differences between the way we think and act and so many things. For a long, long time, and still to this day, I've wondered, like, well, what am I going to do for fun? Because I don't really like doing those things that most people do for fun very much. There are some things that I can do, but I don't really like big crowds, all those cell phones and all that junk food and really loud amplifiers, and the list goes on. So I have to find my own fun. And I have to just ask myself, even though I may not feel like doing something in particular too much, I've got to keep dabbling. in doing new and or different things to create my own fun, because I'm really tired of videos now. And I stopped watching baseball. After COVID hit, I started watching the Padres again because, I grew up in San Diego. And it was something to do to get back into something from my childhood, etc. But the polarity of that and the various negative aspects of it started to get to me too much, and I gradually just faded out of it. And so now I'm not watching that anymore. And I've got to mold myself into some new activities. Yeah. And I think that largely some of those are going to be things that I have to make up and I'll incorporate into videos. I want to see if I can do some things to get you to feel what I'm feeling. And to see if you like that state of being. And the way I am tonight is kind of like that ASMR or whatever it's called that people have been getting into. And I'm really gravitating, and I won't say this for sure, like this is set in stone, but the people that I'm connecting with and that I believe that I'll connect with the most are a lot younger than me. They're not as polluted and clogged as older people. They have newer spirits. Newer generation has newer, more progressed outlooks on things that I can relate with better. They can relate to me as someone that can, even though I'm older, relate to them. And I'm really excited because I continue to just get rid of old cells, old skin, old infections, old chemicals stuck deep in my tissues, just keep coming out more and more. The cleaner I eat. I've been studying all of this for a long time. And I don't get deficient because I know if I need to eat some buffalo, I can do that. If I wanted to find some deer jerky, I could do that too. But at the same time, I know I'm working towards a plant-based diet all the time. And so with having options, I can't fail. I can just keep whittling the stick down, a big thick stick, until it's this big. And I'm super lean. And if my body is super mineralized, then I'll be able to fast longer and longer time without getting too tired, without getting too sick. And I'm just really in tuned to the healing crises that come every couple of weeks, usually on the new and full moons. My cup is still hanging in there, even though it got whacked with a tree. It broke by dropping it or something, whacking it, it cracked, and then it got hit by a tree and lost some chips out of it. But it's still holding tea. So I suppose I could figure out some more things to talk about. But I'll probably just end it here. Business is doing pretty good. Selling lots of pillows. Figured out a new way to send the extra holes for the pillows by just making little cheap, fast scrap pillows to hold them and then just putting a twist tie on them instead of using paper bags. So now I'm using up all the scraps for something really constructive, and that makes me feel great. The centering is so amazing for being able to not feel overwhelmed. Okay, so you know how I was telling you that you can try to neutralize. You probably can. Who knows though? But you can try to neutralize in your mind all the negative energies of the world. Anything, any sort of a practice that brings you towards the center like that is amazingly good for not feeling overwhelmed. Say that you've got a bunch of work to do. And the more you focus on, oh my God, I've got to keep going. Oh my God, I've got all this work to do. And then you've got all these responsibilities, right? You've created all of these responsibilities. You've got to go this, you've got to do that, etc. One of the things that can get you out of that feeling overwhelmed is the centering, the coming to center. Exercises that you do. For me, it's so beneficial to think about that. For me, it's so beneficial to reason things out. Okay, so as soon as I'm done with this little talk, I'm going to go and be with God. I always do body work and spiritual work before I go to bed. I can do it anytime, but I always do it before I go to bed. And what it does is it gives me a lot of insight as to what I need to do and where I need to go and how I need to be. I'll often ask myself, where am I off? What's not right? That gives me what I need. Right now, I need to crack my middle back. I can feel the tension. And if I go in there and I use my rollers, one of my rollers, to massage my back, I'll feel instantly better. But that's a physical thing. So there's physical things. I may be off mentally. Okay. So when someone, hang on just a minute and I'm going to go fix my back. The thing is so good. I've got a whole bunch of them in stock right now. I haven't been trying to sell them. And if you want one, you could go to my website and click on wooden rollers and get one. But yeah, I don't sell anything that I don't find extremely valuable in my own life. I drove for many hours today to get some products for my business. And I really, really benefited from my back support for office chairs and car seats. And I recently improved that too. I've recently been improving a bunch of my products, making them better. And it's really, really cool how good they've become. The orthotics, man. I'm just about to put those orthotics together. But what I was saying about my spiritual time before bed is so cool. Sometimes I get my best ideas, inventions, video ideas, just even ways to ship something or whatever. So many things come to me at that time, my spiritual time. And I was thinking about yesterday and today and many times throughout my life about how like I could invite people. I'll do that with you now. I'd like to invite you to join my religion. Yeah. All of you. All of you can join my religion. I don't want you to send me any money. Unless you buy something from my website. But that's not what this is. You can just be quiet. You could just breathe. You could just stretch and eat good food, be with nature, tune into the sounds, the sights, the feel, all the different things that creation has given you with this body that you've got. And use your mind to think about things logically, or use your heart to feel things emotionally. Try and have balance with everything. This is my religion. And it's not anything far-fetched. But if you really practice the things, it's so powerful. And you could write things down, like I did with my fortune papers. You can download the fortune papers, the wisdom papers on my website. There's two things that are free downloads: the rule of eating and the wisdom papers. So about 12, 14 years ago, I started writing down little phrases. And a lot of people will look in their spiritual book and then they'll tell everyone like to go read Jacob 3:4 or something like that, of the Bible, or some phrase from the Bhagavad Gita that was written by this really wise guy. Okay, this really wise dude 1500 years ago or 3000 years ago or something. You have an inner wise person that knows the phrases that you need. You may not be one of the most insightful people, but I would venture to guess that most of you have a degree of insightfulness, and that if you were to write down a few of the things that you've thought in your mind that you think are pretty wise, or if you were to just think of some things that are pretty wise, you could keep a journal and write down profound things that went through your mind. And you could be like really proud that you thought those things. And some other people might also think that those things are pretty profound. If you compare the things that you've thought were profound with some of those people from those famous books that people think are so deeply wise and profound, you might find that a lot of the things that have gone through your mind are just as wise and profound. I'm not kidding. You could actually break them down into pieces and say, well, wow. And I'll tell you why I know this. Like, I've written a lot of posts on Facebook over the years. And sometimes I'll look back on them and I'll be like, wow, that's really good. The Bible's got nothing on me, baby. I'm not saying that there weren't people that There have been a lot of, and there are a lot of people that are really wise in the world now and from the past, advanced beings. Some of those poets like Hafiz, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. I really enjoy listening to some of that stuff. It's really, it can be really mm, amazing, really profound. And some people are extremely gifted for being creative with their words. Jesse Wells, how many of you listened to him? I started listening to Jesse at the beginning of this year, maybe even last fall, right when he started to become really popular. He really is amazing. But he is also very, very a very typical, um, very emotional artist, left artist. And you have to put things into perspective because you can't just be like that all the time. There is a purpose for war and death, and that's just how it is. So in any case, yeah, you can join my religion if you want to. There's no specific requirements. Really, I've not written anything down, like on golden plates, like Joseph Smith did for the Mormons on golden plates. But all you have to do is holistic healing on all levels. And you can discover new ones, new modalities of holistic healing. You could define holistic healing as the movement towards the center, what this video is entitled. And that's pretty much all there is. You can go to various gatherings, all kinds of gatherings, and you'll find that you like some people and you don't like others. For me now, it's just a matter of feeling the gathering out, whether it's a kirtan or a ecstatic dance or a discussion about something, an astrological gathering, a tarot card thing or something of that nature. It's largely a feel for me now. I do like to state my opinions for sure. In fact, I'll do that without fear where others won't say anything. I like to, even if I don't really like the gathering, I'll probably still say what I like about it to try and offset any sort of perceived negativity. Oh, this guy is just negative about everything. No. Anyways, Thanks everybody for joining me. I hope you enjoyed my words and you learned something or you felt something that helped you with a movement towards the center. I really enjoyed telling you my thoughts and feelings a lot more than watching someone else do something stupid or the same things that I've been seeing people doing on videos on YouTube. The same old blah de da. I really enjoyed doing this, even though there wasn't a lot of back and forth interaction. I try to visualize each of you sitting there and listening and hoping that you're understanding and getting the vibe of what I'm feeling and thinking. And moving towards the center. Because in the center, you don't have all that drama. And I've really been getting away from the drama. So thanks for joining me.